so glad to be back. I missed out last week. I had to be out, my sister and I, but we couldn't be happy to be here. But we know our team held it down. Speaking of team, let me reintroduce my sisters.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Lindsay, and I am so excited to be here. And we have guest speakers. So last week when I was out, I missed them, and I get to take part in them today. And I'm here with my other sister.
I'm Shamika Nicholson, and I'm so excited to be here, back with the guys again. They're taking over our little sisters, Unedited, but we are so excited to have a man's perspective. So.
Absolutely.
And speaking of guests, I want to personally thank you guys. They sat in for us and held it down, and it turned out to be a perfect match. One of them had notes just like me. We didn't even plan that, so I'll let them introduce themselves. Tell me who you are.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Darrell Hartley. I'm honored to be here with the sisters.
Sam Washington, also honored to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're going to get right into it. Today, we are talking about bullying. It's a huge topic. We see plenty of it on the news, in schools, in politics, talk shows. It actually happens everywhere. So who has a story for us?
You know, I'm particularly upset with the bullying in politics because, you know, we used to think of bullying as children in school when we
And
were coming up.
physical.
That's what bullying was, not among adults. And the political bullying is really ridiculous. And if you are someone who is doing that, you really need to check yourself. This goes as far as from everything from downing another person in public and private on Facebook to putting your hands on someone. Grown-ups are actually fighting other grown-ups and bullying them because they don't believe the same thing. And it's really sad. I can't believe we're at this place right now in 2016 where adults are showing children how to bully.
And it's another way to overcompensate. When you feel less than, when you have low self-esteem, when you're in an arena that you don't feel worthy of being in, when you're among certain types of people, you have to use whatever your survival mechanisms are. And unfortunately, that's where people go sometimes.
I think so. I think that the bullying has really got ridiculous since online. You know,
Oh, man.
the
Cyberbullying.
the cyberbullying, and you know, it's even a TV show about this type of thing. That it's saying that the bullying has ruined people's life, and people have even died.
Yeah,
People have taken their lives because of this.
So
Particularly
when it says words are powerful,
Boy.
please understand that the things that you say, sometimes some stuff you say you
can't take it
cannot
back.
take back.
You can't take it back. But you know what is so odd to me about life, period, but it's specifically as it relates to bullying. We all could tell a story about either a situation we were in or we witnessed. I do not understand for the life of me why people don't teach their children about bullying, how to refrain from it and how to protect themselves from it. So they're out here kind of thrown in basically on the job training.
Right.
In school when they really could have been taught something about it. They could have been given some kind of tools or something to survive.
And the opposite of that is they're throwing their children out there not knowing how to protect themselves against the bullying. But what about the children who are doing the bullying? Something is missing
Right,
at home.
exactly.
Either
Somebody's
they're being shown
bullying.
this
Right.
as a way of handling and coping with something you don't like, or they're using it because, like Tara said, they have low self-esteem. Something is wrong. They're not getting enough attention. They're not getting loved. Or they don't understand. So the parents are dropping the ball on both sides.
the elements of bullying originate in the home.
That's
Parents
where I was about to go.
parents do what parents do, but it's not being reinforced in schools, it's not being reinforced. So there's that middle divide that we have to try to connect the children to say, hey, listen, that's wrong. No matter what you heard, that's wrong. And we need to redirect their paths and understanding that, listen, you will end up in jail or prison or dead if you
Right.
continue to do things like
It's
this.
serious.
What about teaching your kids? Remember when we were coming up, my mother would always tell me to stick up for people.
Yes.
If that's
Right.
your friend, you don't let somebody push them around or bully
Right.
them or be mean to
Exactly.
them. And none of that is happening. Why is that? Are they afraid?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to
Or they
if you
don't
look
care.
at. Well, I think if you look at the way society is set up now, your mother was old enough to be a mother when she became a mother.
Babies raising
Babies raising babies. If you don't know, you
Yes.
can't teach what you don't. I know of a
Exactly.
situation where a man had an issue with his father. He felt like his father wasn't there. He had all these, my daddy wasn't there issues, but in reality, he was to the best of his ability. I end up asking the question, well, how old? I asked the father, how old were you when your son was born? He said 17. I said, well, because the son who felt that he had daddy issues, he kept saying, my grandfather was a great man and he was a good father, and I know he taught my father how to be a father. No, sweetie. At 17, he was trying to teach him how to finish school, prepare for his future as an individual. He hadn't gotten to the lessons about childhood yet. So when you have these young people having babies, no matter how much effort they put in, there's just going to be some mark missing, period.
Yeah, and it's so sad, me being a single mother for so long, it's sad. I have a son. I'm trying to raise a respectable man, and I know at the end of the day I can give him things that will help him be successful, but I cannot teach him how to be a man. And the bullying thing, I go over it with him. I definitely want to make sure he's not a bully, okay?
Right.
Because of, his father being absent. But thank God I have my brother and, and my dad to come in and help me with the raising of my son. The father figure,
Yeah,
the positive things. It's so important for a man to take direction, or a boy to take direction from a man. Because if you're always taking direction from a woman, it doesn't turn out well. And
It's definitely not the same.
It's not the same.
But
So,
I don't mean to cut you off. Bullying can be so subtle. It can start so subtle.
easily.
Like a child who has never been a bully. Just like any other situation where temptation is there for someone. A child who has never been a bully, but they could be interacting with another child who is a much weaker child, a more fearful personality.
Right.
And once they realize that there is a power in them that the other child doesn't have, this is where the parents aren't connected, because that urge to dominate can take over, because now I feel like a superhero. I feel a lot bigger. I'm sitting a lot straighter because I can control this person. And they didn't even go into it with that being the intention, but this is back to parents being parents. What about adult supervision? Where did that go? There's nobody supervising these children, so they are left to their own devices.
Yeah, we have the internet raising kids now.
Man,
We
and
got
television.
kids, we got kids, YouTube, and I'll admit, I might let my kids watch YouTube, but at the same day, I'm monitoring what they watch.
Right.
I don't let my my girls are 10 and 8, but if I caught them like watching fight videos, because we have a culture where some kids, all they do is Google and watch fight videos. People taking pictures of just people getting beat. I mean, I saw
they're
a
so
girl beat another
desensitized.
girl down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're laughing. The children
Yeah,
watching
and-
they're entertained and laughing.
And
That's crazy.
it is poisoning their souls. It really
Absolutely.
is.
It's poison and
It
absolutely.
really
You
is,
said that.
and they're on that all the time.
yeah.
So,
and I wish more people on Facebook would stop putting
Stop
that
that.
crap on there.
Stop
It's
posting
not
fight
just Facebook, it's
videos.
all.
It's
It's
everything.
all of them,
It's
whatever.
everything.
Because
Stop.
listen, my
Not
20
to minimize what you said, Shanique,
But stop. Stop it on all of
my
it.
25-year-old comes over and spends a night with us every now and then. Now, she is a psychology major. She already has her BA. She's on her way back to school.
ego and the super ego.
Yes.
All of it. and you remember it. So she watches, her guilty pleasure is Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, I think.
Don't watch it.
Listen, I don't watch it, but she was over the other day, and she came in my room and took over the television. I was supposed to be.
the TV.
She commandeered my TV. It happens. She takes
That
a
ego
listen.
work.
My pajama drawer, my bed. She just comes in and makes herself at home. Hey, Jasmine. She might be watching from my bed now. But while I was watching the show, the reason that I stopped watching it, because when it first came out, I said, well, let me check it out. When you watch these shows, these are people's real lives. Now, this stuff is produced to some degree.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But these people, this is who they really
is
are
real,
in real life. And when I tell you, it sickens me to no end to watch these girls bully each other over men that are sleeping with everybody on the set. But they
tear
are,
each other apart.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And they have children
and then,
even.
it's so sad too, because I don't even know how it just go cross, but it always, if I try to not watch it, it'll come on my feeds on something.
That's the devil
So
is busy. You don't watch this.
you gonna watch it. It make you watch it, but it's so sad that the stripper girl had to say she was the only one up there with the common sense, the common denominator. The stripper girl said, "I hate men like you." That's why I try to do and take all I can from you, because you taking everything from her and making them look stupid on TV.
Well,
Both
but,
of them sitting up there pregnant.
but I will tell you this. Can't nobody make you look stupid.
Right.
You got to volunteer for that.
They
shit.
signed up for that.
You gotta-
They
yeah,
signed
you gotta
up.
sign up for that.
No lie, but they signed
Oh,
up. But they ain't
absolutely.
looking stupid.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, Shanika. Although there may not be the male role model present in the home, there have been legions of women who raise boys to become men.
Amen.
Take the traits that you have there and go, because there's a bevy of men who are not men. They're roaming the streets, they're roaming this earth, not being present. When you go to our churches and our communities, who do you see there? You see women with children.
That's right.
So the outstanding job that women do going forward, attempting to parlay the relationship of male and female as parenting, that's outstanding.
That's all I can show
So
them.
women, you should applaud yourselves if there is no man there, because your role is outstanding.
Absolutely.
And I will say, as it relates to this particular subject, these types of subjects are just really not gender specific at all. These are just where moral standards lie, period. And if you have them, then you can transfer them to your children. But what I wish people would do is recognize when you don't have them and get some help. When you don't, if you know when you lay down in the bed at night, you know when you look in the mirror in the morning where you fall short in real life. We all can look at ourselves and, you know what,
We know.
I could do better in this, that, or the other area. And if those areas, especially the ones that are ever present in front of your children, there's absolutely no reason why your children have to still fall victim to it. You could get help.
If we knew what God knew about all of us here, we would be sitting here.
I don't even want that. Yeah, time to go. Yeah, clear set. I don't want to know that myself. That's too much.
I'm going to tell you. I don't want to know. But you know what? It is something that I try to definitely make sure of, that he understands that, you know, if you're being bullied, you got to come say something.
Right.
Because a lot of kids now, they don't want to say nothing. They are ashamed, and that's why the behavior continues on. They think that, you know, they're being less than a teenager or a punk or whatever the kids say. You know, I have a good relationship with my daughter and my son. So, you know, and I tell them whatever it is, like, I'm the only one in your corner. At the end of the day, I got your back. So you better be able to come to me, because let me tell you something. Me and your trust has to be 100, because at the end of the day, it's us. And if somebody else comes to me out in the street and says something, don't make me look bad. I want to be able to say,
And
you
don't
have
have
the
so
wrong
you can
kid.
back
And
Yeah,
don't
so you
make
can
you
back
look
your
bad.
child.
Right. And don't make
me
you
look bad,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm doing the best I can, but please don't make me look bad.
I'm
That's not
saying
gonna
you
work out
and
well
them.
for
They
me.
don't need to make themselves look bad either.
Yeah.
But here's the secret. Here's something that I figured out. There are a lot of different reasons why children don't tell their parents. And this is one that I brought up recently, and I've been saying it to women.
I agree.
And men need to be careful of it as well. If your child hears you say things like, if anybody ever did this, that, or the other, that whole posture, if they do this, then this is what's going. If you do that,
They replicate it.
and not just replicate it, they won't come tell you. They will take the role of responsible adult and say, hey, I can't tell her that because she won't be able to handle this information. If I tell
My mama be in jail.
I'm gonna give you an
them
example.
mamas.
I'm gonna give you an example. Just recently, my cousin's the little baby, her mother's daughter told her, Mom, when you left the room, those people were talking about you, but I waited till we were almost home to tell you because I didn't want you over there fighting. That child was like 9.
Right.
She's either 7 or 9 years old, and she told her mother that. You cannot make them feel like the whole world is going to end if they come to you for help, because then they won't. Then you have children commit suicide, like you said. They're fighting, they're taking out the aggression, they're finding other ways to handle it because they don't think you can handle it.
And aside-
that's scary.
I'm sorry. Aside from them adults giving children that idea that I can't handle it if you bring me something, they're also showing them that this is how you handle a situation. If somebody makes you mad, takes your toy, pisses you off, you don't like what they say, then you blow up, you explode, you push over the tables, you hit somebody, and that's how we do it. So it's not sometimes that the child doesn't want to bring it to the parent. They don't feel like they need to, because you already taught me
Already
how
know
to
what to
handle
do.
it.
Right.
When you in the streets, you got to get down.
But in the essence of that thought, parents have to continue, and guardians have to continue to affirm, confirm, justify to some degree, and validate who the child is. Because they're not receiving it out there, they're receiving the street influence, cesspool knowledge. Right? And that takes you where? Hospitals, institutions, prisons, and death. Scripture
absolutely.
teaches us that we fail for a lack of knowledge, right? And there's a way that seems right to a man, woman, or child is in death and destruction. Death is that I die, and destruction is I don't get eternal life. So we have to teach them here. Scripture also says we teach a child in the way they should go, and they get older, they don't go back to what they were doing. They go where you are. It's the proverbial dog going back to the vomit when it's not being reinforced by the parents.
Well,
And I'm sure those of us who are parents here, we understand that when we grew up, there was a switch, there was a boot,
Amen.
consequences.
That's
Consequences and
Consequences.
repercussions.
Well, listen, we need to take a break,
Consequences.
but when we come back, we will discuss further consequences and repercussions, because that is where there is epic fail
Yes.
in households. And the other side of that is spirituality.
Spirituality.
Oh my God, the house is empty and there are ghosts all through it. So when we come back, our lovely guest will still be here with us, and we will talk more about bullying and what's missing in these homes. We'll be right back.
Yes, we will. Him gone.
I ain't got my gun with me, a
Listen.
switchblade or
Y'all
nothing.
should carry
problems.
pistols out here.
I ain't got
Woo,
nothing.
Jesus.
I ain't got no taser.
All right, you gonna count us in?
No pocket knife.
Consequences, repercussions. Church.
And spirituality.
Ghost.
Scripture.
We are back, and it's hot in here. You guys guys ought to be here during commercial.
She's cooking.
Listen, we left off talking about bullying and the consequences that used to exist in households and the sense of spirituality. We have a pastor at the table. I don't know if y'all know it, but he gets down. So consequences and repercussions.
Yes.
Now, I tell you a story. My oldest daughter is 25. When she was, I guess, about 4, I said, Jasmine, if you do that again, I'm going to spank your butt. She said, no, you're not, Mommy. You always say that. You're not going to do nothing. I said, do I always say that?
See,
But here's the thing. No, here's the thing. I didn't, and I couldn't. I wasn't that mama yet. I thought I was, but what I was learning.
It took another 8 months, and then
What the baby was teaching me is I commonly shoot out threats that I don't carry out. Consequences and repercussions were not happening. So I said, do I do that?
That made me dizzy just hearing it.
Well, listen,
you know, it's just like, oh,
well, I fixed it. I brought. Listen, it's a happy ending. It's a happy ending.
My fist balled up.
I said, well, I'm sorry that I do that to you. Go ahead and get the belt.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and give you the spanking. And then I learned as a parent, the lesson for me, I was a young mom. So the lesson for me was don't shoot out idle threats.
Exactly.
When you know you don't feel like giving them a whooping, because sometimes you don't, and sometimes what they're doing isn't worth a whole spanking. But you got to shoot out something that you feel like doing. I may feel like just saying time out. People hate on time out, but it still works for midgets. Little people hate sitting still. So if that's the case, if you shoot the threat out, just make sure that you carry it out. Make sure it fits the punishment. But you have to follow through. And I've had to make myself do it. Tired, don't feel like it. I got to go in here and jump on this girl. I promise her this whooping. I promise you.
You have to schedule it. You have to schedule it.
Oh, it was after work. I was tired.
You gonna get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to get it.
I think, I think my mother's way of the torture was a lot better.
Yeah.
They used to torture you when I get home.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
All down.
But here's how that worked.
When
though.
you coming?
I'm sorry.
But here was the great part.
Sit here and wait on it all day.
But when they got home, what happened? It went down.
Yeah,
It was real.
She
It was not a threat.
around. She was torturous. She
Oh, it
kinda
was not.
fumbled
My mama did not
around
make
and
idle threats. And I used
made
to.
me put a load of clothes in, and I'm still like, okay.
You ever do all your chores and clean up and do everything like
And
try to
then
make
you
it
gotta go
perfect?
to bed.
And go to bed before she get home?
Real early.
Yep.
Real early. It's still daylight outside.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Then get the beating with the light off.
Yeah.
They know Dracula, like Dracula come right to you.
Or my mother seemed like she had superpowers. She
Yeah.
could turn the light on, pull the covers off, and snatch you to the right position.
the
All
same
in them was swoop real quick.
And
You
it's
you
over.
being
It's
beat
fine.
before you realize the lights are on. So consequences and repercussions.
Yeah.
I don't like the wake up beatings. So,
I didn't like any of them.
So
I don't
just
have a
sit on the
favorite.
steps. I would just sit on the
Just
steps.
wake
and
up.
Just wait for it. You was a G. I was a punk. I was under that
I was
cover
on-
tight,
I
trying
was
You in the
hard.
tub, right,
I
in the
feel
tub,
like
right.
I know she gonna knock me out, so I better just be in a good position so she won't
So when I
kill
fall,
me. So I ain't got some cushion. I put some pillows over there. I
Soft place
set
to
it
land.
up.
No.
Wait a minute, you wasn't one of those types that would like try to grab the belt while she
Oh no,
was
no! I'm
Yeah,
not
'cause I
crazy.
was-
That's why I'm still here.
Exactly.
Hey,
I'm still here.
I was mistakenly accused of doing it once. I was really going for the duck move,
Right,
but
right.
she thought I was going for the grass. She said, "Oh, you want her whole face?" And
Everything went from color to black and white. It just got real. Yeah.
no, but on a serious note, like these are real stories.
That is serious.
These,
It's real.
these are real stories.
If you knew my
Engulfed
mama back
in
in the
laughter.
day,
I still
it's
feel
real.
the pain.
I don't know who
Yeah.
she is now. I don't know who she is. These grandchildren.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
changed. They
Yeah.
changed.
They don't know the
My
real.
mama changed before the last one got.
You know
But I
what?
still
Bill
got it,
Cosby
though.
say that's not my mama. That's an old woman trying to get in the head.
That's it.
Right,
That's it.
right.
I grew up with this
She
woman.
changed.
I know
Completely
what she's
changed.
capable of.
Yeah.
Well, I just think
Still
that
capable of. Right.
these children don't see consequences. They are very entitled. They are very spoiled. They're
Very
constantly
spoiled.
indulged with the things that they want. And I'm all for giving and doing things for your children that you feel like you didn't have, but you have to make them earn it.
Yes,
It cannot be free.
Yes.
It cannot be you do whatever you want
Just
to do,
because.
and just because you show up, here's some new Jordans, here's the
No,
new game, here's
no.
and they have to respect it. They don't respect what the sacrifice actually is. I
Exactly.
think with us, I knew when I asked for something, sometimes it was a sacrifice to get it.
Sure.
And if she got it for me,
You
I
appreciate it.
was appreciative of it.
Yes.
And I understood that she didn't have to do that.
They didn't.
We
they
have
don't know
done
about
something to our children and I say we as a people, I didn't give birth to any, but
Right.
I helped in rearing some.
Societally, yeah.
And we as a people have dropped the ball because we, like she said, we give them and give them and give them to make up for what we didn't have. But we have not been teaching them the perspective of being gracious and having gratitude
I was
and being appreciative.
just having this conversation with one of my younger friends here and her sister, and they have like kids under 5 and 6 and 7, and she was telling me like they don't appreciate anything. I said it's not them, it's you.
Yeah.
It's you and her.
Because you haven't taught them to
Because
appreciate.
at the end of the day, I do not reward foolery.
Period.
If your kids are not happy, if every store that you go in, because we used to get a speech.
Oh yeah.
Don't
The
ask
speech
for
was
Don't
real.
ask for nothing.
And you can
Don't
recite the
touch
speech
nothing.
when she get ready to say, "Mama, I already know. Keep
When
my
we
hands
go
by
in
my
this
side.
store,
Don't
don't
ask
you
me
be acting
anything."
no fool. Don't you run in here. Don't you do nothing. You sit your little butt down. Don't you ask me for nothing.
And
And
they
don't
meant it.
breathe.
We used to even get this, and if they offer you something, you
You
don't,
don't
want
want it.
nothing.
But mama
Those are
was
not-
really good.
But you know, like I tell them, I said it's a lot of things that how my mother raised me, because she's from Alabama. It's a different life. Southern mothers
Sure.
is
Yes,
different.
Yeah.
It is different. I still kept a lot of the things when I raised my daughter, but I had to tweak them to the times.
You do.
Right, you do.
Because
That's
we
what
are.
You know what I
That's a true
mean?
statement.
But the core, the real stuff,
The moral of the
kept.
story should not change.
the moral of the story, my daughter is very successful. She still has a 4.0 her second year of college, and she's told me that she's still good,
Yeah.
like righteous, where she can wear white on her
Okay.
wedding day.
Amen.
So at
Righteous.
the end of the day, I'm very proud of those things, and I
Oh,
believe what she tells me. But you know, at the end of the day, you keep those things, and I was just telling them. And you know, one of them said, well, I said, well, you know, I was trying to help out. And I said, well, you know, I was going to do this for your little girl. But, you know, just letting the little girl know, like, Miss Mika don't like when kids be disrespectful to their mom. And she was like, she don't need that. See, it's you. Like I said in the beginning, it's not the children, it's y'all.
So check out who's bullying. So these children we just described, they are self-indulgent. They feel like they are entitled to everything,
Many
and
of
they
them are affluent.
many of them are
Many,
affluent, and now they
yes.
have the whole affluenza thing, so they have laws that back them up with their bad behavior.
The type of nonsense that we have
It's ridiculous.
in our society
It's
these
ridiculous.
days
What's allowed?
is crazy.
I mean, you can imagine why these children are bullies. If you are used to having everything that you want, having your way, there are no consequences for
None.
poor behavior. There aren't any standards that you have to meet, period,
No
as a human being.
reinforcements.
You don't
Right.
have to do chores if you don't want to.
Oh.
You don't have to bathe if you don't want to. You don't have to be at school regularly. Whatever you're
Oh,
doing,
my
It's
goodness.
it's
basically
okay.
rewarded.
It's basically rewarded.
The bad behavior is rewarded.
rewarded.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because these kids who were doing remember they was doing the knockout game a couple of years
Oh,
ago. So
my
you,
gosh.
but they're getting
That was the
famous.
sickest
So
thing.
you're
Yes.
being rewarded for this type of behavior
Yeah,
by
people posting,
society
making so many
because people are
views on
liking
their
it and
videos.
clicking it and sharing it.
Yeah.
So
it's a sick.
as
It's a
it's a sickness.
And the
It
sad
really
part is
is.
people, this generation of people they're so wrapped up in it they don't even know they're sick. Because
Yeah.
while you're clicking on the videos laughing, you just added one more like or one more view to
Exactly.
some foolery. To something that you are, it's just horrible. I don't know how
It is.
But
Yeah.
what happens is that when children are not directed properly, and again we start with the school system, and then you'll start with the home too, and there has to be a fine median there. When you're at parent-teacher conferences, the parent will say, my child's not learning. Well, the child cannot be here 6 or 8 hours a day not learning and then go home and not learn. It's not being reinforced.
Right.
And you're
Right.
going to come here and challenge me on something like this. You know, what's the square root of 9? And the parent can answer, see, you don't know. So you go forward and you say, what can we do as a team to come together? And although there may not be a man present, or there may not be a mother present, somebody's present in that home, even if they're latchkey kids. Meaning there's the eldest child taking care.
someone is there.
Been there, understanding and say, listen, this is what we got to do. You know, mama gonna be home. You know, daddy gonna be home, and they probably won't be in the best of moods. I knew
Yeah.
when my father drove up in the driveway what kind of mood he was in. If he flew up the driveway, it was a bad day.
Yeah.
If he crept, we might have some action tonight, right? I grew up in a household that we talked about some time ago. It was chaotic, full of dysfunction, mayhem, and toxicity. Sometimes I didn't know what color the walls or the floor were going to be. There was a lot going on, and then people made up, and the house moved. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so that was the way of reconciling, but there was still the issue of what we needed to do. So now, when we're not getting satisfied as children in the household, we go seek it elsewhere. So that means that someone who's weaker than you, you victimize them because you know you can. You're bigger than them. You're stronger than them, right? Then when somebody does it to you, it doesn't feel good. That's cowardice.
Right.
If I called you a coward, you wouldn't like it, right?
Right.
So we have to get out of the mentality of being cowards and bullies and do. You know how you vanquish a bully? You make the bully stop doing what the bully's doing. You challenge him,
Yeah.
right? You show no fear.
And most bullies at their heart are cowards.
Our cowards.
Are cowards. And a lot of times, if you rear back like that, they gonna flinch.
If somebody
Because
watching
they
me
weren't
say, "I ain't no
expecting
coward," yes, you.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the biggest ones.
You know what we are. We can come test the theory of relativity. You're a coward if you're a bully.
Thank you.
You a punk.
I like it.
Show enough
I
all
like it.
day.
Yes.
Well, so we have these baby's kids out here being raised by other babies, by babies
Right.
generation prior.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad, but I feel like, I always love a positive spin, and all is not lost. The bottom line is, like I said before, recognize the problem. You can't correct something you want to address. That's a reality all day long. You can keep on. We went to, last week, we were at the seminar with Les Brown. It was a whole panel of speakers. But you can't fix a problem that you don't acknowledge.
That's right.
And that's a part of the problem. People want to just go on with it. They talked a lot about, Les Brown and a bunch of the other speakers talked about, turn that damn TV off.
Yes.
Turn that TV off. And that goes for your computer, your laptop, your tablet, your phone.
Give it a break.
Get off. Give it a break.
Disconnect
Give
from
your
it.
brain a break because you're feeding yourself so much negativity. The children are feeding themselves so much negativity. The show that my daughter was watching that I spoke of earlier, verbal bullying was like so ever present on that stage. Whoever could. It's this one girl, and she's thick and big, and she sits up real hard and tall, and everything is a whole lot of arms, and it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing? So I'm shutting you down because I'm shutting you down too, and I'm gonna point at you, and she's super duper loud, super duper boisterous. That's another form of bullying.
It is.
Yeah.
That's another form of bullying,
then
and you require way too much attention to be an adult.
And then they get up and the fakeness, I just, like I said, I'm Southern, but I lived in Detroit.
Horrible mix.
It don't work out well, okay?
Yeah.
Just FYI, it don't work out well.
Yeah,
It's not going to
no.
end well for
No.
you.
It's not gonna end well for you because there ain't no punkness in that country stuff. It's
Right.
definitely you got to be a different type of person to make it in Detroit. And I stayed in Southwest Detroit, baby. It's Mexicans and black
We're
people.
from Chirac, so we
Yeah,
can relate.
you definitely understand. So all of that jumping up with nothing else, because the people gonna come and get you.
And he
Right.
already pointed out
Bye.
that people do that, but as soon as you make a move or take a stance,
They
things
coward.
will change.
Exactly.
They will.
Things will
Bye.
change. You may force them into a situation where they have to try to fight, but really that's not what you do. It's really not what you do. But before we go, again, we talked about the spirituality in the house. You talked about the mothers at church earlier being the ones there with the children. That's another place where we need to go back to.
Yeah.
Even if you can't get out and get your children to church regularly for whatever reason, you can pray at home.
It's online.
You can
church
open that
too.
book up at home. It's online church. There's too many. Use the internet for that.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
does not
Positive
replace the assembly
Right.
of believers,
Right.
but it's an accessible means
Right.
Absolutely.
of people enjoying the
And if you're
spirituality.
starting, because a lot of people have a lot of excuses
do.
about why, and I'll say some have legitimate reasons as well. Some people don't have transportation. Some people, unfortunately, don't have proper attire to go to church, and some of y'all need
Do
to
they
get
still
that
have
together.
church buses?
Yes.
Some churches
Some
do.
churches.
Some churches do, but if you cannot get there, the bottom line is if you're not ready to go, you can't get there. There's yeah,
Throw a
right,
rock
right.
and hit one. Yeah.
But if you cannot go for whatever, because people believe what they believe in their head.
Right.
So if they believe they cannot go, the bottom line is that is still no excuse.
Exactly.
That is still, God is always
Come
available.
on.
All you gotta do is ask for him, call on him. It's a scripture in you probably have a Bible in your house somewhere.
Dust it
You
off.
dust it off, it's the same
Blow
book.
the
Get the
dust
coffee mug
It
off.
still
of
works.
Open it up.
Blow the
Turn
dust
to any
off.
page.
Any
Any page.
I'm gonna tell you something. Before we go, I remember a time in my life I was going through something. I was in my probably mid to late 20s. I was married. We were separated. Things were tumultuous. I was in tears, and I kept my bar in the kitchen area chaotic. I was just rocking in my rocking chair, and I was in tears. I didn't know why. That's just what I was feeling at the moment. And I looked over and saw my Bible amongst my junk, and I promise you, I just opened it anywhere. I don't even remember what scripture I read, but when I say a calm came over me, and I was able to really, really get a little clarity and gather my thoughts so that I could move forward. So when we come back, you had something you want to talk about.
I do. Before we go, one really quick thing. I want people to stop focusing on the problem. If you have a child that's a bully and they're angry and they're mad, or you're angry and you're mad, stop focusing on that and find something positive to direct your energy or their energy to. Now, when we come back, I really have a problem with understanding what bullying is. Some people don't know they're being bullied. And so they go through this and they go through this, and then they get pushed so far they want to commit suicide.
And some people don't know that they're
So,
bullying.
We've got to talk about what bullying actually is, what it looks like when we come back.
It's not a Brothers
Right.
Unedited show.
I'm going to get you some bangs.
Yeah,
This thing.
hey, you know what? I'm gonna get me that little plaque to go all the way down there and shake
Oh
it.
my goodness.
And shake it. Lord, geez, you really are in 1889.
And then you know what you're going to say.
Come back.
I'm Rick James.
I had hair once upon a time, ladies.
Oh, sure you did. We believe. Did you have a curl?
I did have the
I
shag.
You had the curl? You had the curl too?
It was fierce too.
I bet it was. I wanted one, but I was chicken. We came from Chicago. It really wasn't that hot in Chicago like it was here. But I was scared.
It was. I mean,
Scared. I was too citified.
It didn't
I
have.
was ready
It
for
didn't have
the world.
cuts necessarily. You know, it didn't have
No,
loop the
not
hair.
ready for
But the
the
curl
world.
did turn, but
stuff
take your hair out.
What's your phone?
No, so they used lie in those days.
Yeah, real deal.
You lie in those days.
Hey, what's your phone number? What's your phone number?
What's your phone number?
What your phone number is, girl? What your name is?
That's that Southern and Detroit mix is the problem.
This guy said,
the
I
time?
don't know what your name is.
I wanna spend the night with you.
If that's alright.
Y'all need some deliverance.
777.
Whatever, you know the words too.
Y'all want something to drink? No adult beverages.
Thank you.
Whatever.
You the only one that can't have adult beverages.
Get your ass in this house. I
I
got
love that song. That was my favorite song on Purple Rain. Oh my gosh. That thing
That
was
bass
heavy
line
rotation.
drop, it was ridiculous.
my favorite.
Baby.
I just was seeing what I just doing what he was doing on the video.
Apollonia knew
You
he was
wasn't
talking
pumping the
about her,
stage.
man.
You wasn't pumping the stage with the
I was
Yeah.
doing what
Yeah.
I was like,
Wait a minute, Morris Day knew he was talking about. Morris Day knew. And here go Jerome in the back.
want
You know,
me.
that's some messed up stuff you did.
hating.
Hating. Don't hate.
Do you want me?
Mm.
Ooh, boy. Yeah.
Don't you? You reminiscing about that Jerry curl, ain't you, right now?
I felt the dripping on the
No, man. See, mine wasn't wet, man. It had the luster stuff. It wasn't like, what was that movie?
Coming
The guy
to
married
America.
Jerry Curl.
Come on,
No,
Jerry
with the-
Curl.
Oh,
But you know what I'm
Hollywood
talking about.
Shuffle. Hollywood Jerry
Yeah,
Curl.
he said,
Hollywood
hey, come on,
Shuffle.
man. Give it back
Give
to
it
me. It was
activated.
drying up.
Yeah, that was Keenan Ivory Wayans.
that was that damn.
Yes.
That was his name, Jerry Curl.
So
That was coming to
Do the
America.
Jerry
Was it the
Curl.
Soul Glow?
No, Soul Glow was coming to America.
Where they had the spots on the back
Yeah.
of the chairs.
Hollywood Shuffle was Robert Townsend. and
Yeah,
Keenan Ivory
Hollywood,
Wayans
baby.
played
But
him.
that
so
product
funny.
is definitely responsible for ruining a lot of sheets.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lots of pillowcases
yeah.
caught
My
it.
mom mad at me.
Sandy
'cause
My mama and
She kept the
Right.
pillowcases. I told her she ought to just frame them and just make them art now.
Unbelievable.
They like
Put everybody's name on
yeah,
the
them
to the case it
psychological
was.
block pad. This is your best friend. That's all.
I swear to God,
This
my
is
daddy
summer
held on. He
84.
held on to his Jerry curl for so long.
Dear life.
He still got hair though. My daddy old.
Some old people got a Jerry curl with a big
People
bald
did
spot,
too, man.
right?
His hairline
And
was
would not
way
let it
up.
go.
Yeah,
I said, man, you ain't fooling
My
nobody.
daddy still had.
Got
My
one,
mama
got
just
one
finally
curl
said,
just
"Let
wrapped
go."
up.
My daddy
One long
didn't. He
curl
still ain't
just wrapped
bald.
up.
He didn't go bald. He about 74. He still look good. You know, my mama married a sugar daddy, but
See, you ain't have to tell my
yeah,
business.
right. And she married a sugar daddy, but that's why I be telling her, don't be complaining. You the one married your sugar daddy.
But the men get
You ready?
they get that from the women, and the women get it from the fathers.
Oh yeah, that but my daddy still got hair. He pretty good. But
I
she
made
got-
my
Y'all got me
best
singing
friend
now.
that you can get to.
Okay.
I wanted to add some.
Press it, press
Okay, we good. Let's go.
Okay, count you back in.
You bring us back in so we can go with your show.
Okay.
Hey guys, we are back with Sisters Unedited, along with our brothers
That's
Unedited. We are having a great time. Our topic
Amazing.
is bullying. So before we left at the top of the break, I wanted to discuss how to recognize what bullying actually is.
Bring it.
Because we've got the internet, we've
So
got...
do you think if it's bullying if I
Oh,
just start talking
Lord
while you
Jesus.
talking?
What'd you say?
Because you told me slow. I'm just trying to figure out how you recognize a bully.
Jesus. I ain't
Challenge
scared of
them.
you.
That's right. That's right. Shut them
You
down.
have to
Y'all
stop.
need
This
to
is
be
not your
quiet,
time.
Shut
cause
it
I'm
down.
talking.
Here's where I disappear.
See how bullying can happen anywhere? You have to know what it is.
Even
So,
with the two sisters.
yeah. And it happened in real life. We'll talk about that later. Inbox me, I'll tell you the story. But so you've got a daughter, right? 12, 13 years old. She's got a cell phone for safety.
Okay.
And it's constantly blowing up every 5-10 minutes. There's a boy. Where are you? What are you doing? What do you have on? Who are you with? Where's your mom? Why
See,
didn't
that-
you text
that
me
needs to
back?
get shut down right
Girl,
there.
he loved me.
Right. That's the
Please.
response.
That's
But
my
what it
bully.
really is working its way into something else. That's bullying
Control.
and control.
Control.
Absolutely.
Yes. And sometimes you got girlfriends that do the same type of controlling, just not maybe in that same
Don't
manner.
put me out there like that, Shamika. I just did that one time.
Is it true?
I'm not talking about you.
Just conscious.
Somebody guilty.
It's
I'm not
counsel.
talking about you, but I'm gonna think about it now.
So maybe did she?
I just made you come outside one time. This evening.
The think about it face though.
Did it happen on the show?
Anywho.
But the bottom line is it is
But the
very
bottom
it can
line-
be very
it
subtle.
Can,
It can be
you know,
very
they-
subtle.
It can be very subtle where they're, like, getting upset with you because you don't want to do what they do. You want to go where they want to go, and that type of stuff.
But
That's
you know what?
bullying too.
I think that if you pay attention to your heart and your feelings,
Yes.
because although it's subtle, if you are around someone who regularly makes you feel a little pressure, you're probably being bullied.
Yeah.
It could be your boss, it could be your mom. I know of adults whose mothers still bully them and tell them what's going to happen with their children and what's not. It can be very subtle, but I think one of the key things is if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel right, if you're constantly feeling pressured, or if you constantly find yourself submitting to someone all the time, they never compromise, you always compromise. That's a form of bullying.
Yeah.
Somebody's putting pressure on you.
My ex-husband was a bully.
That
Yeah,
was
just
tough.
like
You know
That's
what?
why he's
I'm
an
not
ex.
gonna lie. Ex-wife.
Was a bully? I've seen it. I've
Which
seen
is
it.
why she's an ex-wife.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes.
High five to the
Which is why
Yes.
she's an ex-wife. I can't.
I'm sorry, he was really a bully.
Yeah,
And
mine was too.
when you get your mind right and you step outside of it, that's when you can see clearly. At the end of the day, someone that doesn't want you to lose weight, which is weird. Someone that doesn't encourage you to go to school. You know what I mean?
fine the way you are.
Yeah, and
It's
I
all
was like
good.
300 something pounds. Ain't nobody tell me that I wasn't cute. Y'all tried it.
You still mad?
Calm down. Calm down.
My mama did, but Fayetta kept it all the way real. But she say so much stuff. I don't know who she gonna be, so I never listen to her. But everybody else, y'all tried it.
But it's happening in the workplace too.
Sure.
That's what I was
It
about to
is.
say.
I've been in situations myself before where I was tired. I had something else to do. I didn't feel good. I needed to leave, but the directive came down that this is what we need you to do, and you don't have to stay. it's not mandatory. They'll tell you those words.
But
Right.
you
But
know
then
what that means.
You know what that
Oh, you
means.
know.
And their
You know, be
behavior
here.
is saying, you got to do this.
Right.
There
Right.
are
So-
no real options.
So it's happening in every aspect of our lives.
might
And
not have
that's
your
and
job.
workplace bullying is the worst because
You
you
might
need
not
your
have your
paycheck.
job.
You need that paper.
You
Right.
might not have your
But I
job
tell
if
you
don't
what,
do it.
but you better believe God for what's yours is yours, because I don't care where you work, who you work for, who you sleep with, or who your children or your parents are. If you are being bullied, you do need to make some changes. There are sometimes situations where you can just speak up and have a conversation with someone. There are times when an intervention, a group of people like this
Sure.
could come together and maybe bring a tip, because somebody may not recognize that they're bullying you or making you feel a certain way. So there are a lot of ways to handle it, but bottom line, it has to be handled. It has to be handled. And then that goes back to downhill. You have to teach your children how to recognize it and how to handle it.
I think these children are so used to stuff being so instant.
Yeah, and
I
so
Instant
rough.
said,
gratification.
oh my God,
Yeah.
instant, because you can do everything. Like I try to tell my kids, you know, we didn't have these cell phones. Only rich people and drug dealers had cell phones
When they first
when
came
I was
out.
coming up.
Yeah.
Then it was a whole case.
It was
and
this
then
big.
You
Yeah.
pick it
The
up.
brick.
With the,
And I don't
with the
even know
long
if you can
antenna
hear.
in the
We
box.
had beepers and stuff, but you know, I try to tell them everything is so instant. If you're upset with how your life is going and how things are going for you, you have to change it, and it is a process. It is
Yes.
not
It
just
is a
like going
process.
on your phone and changing it. If
You can't
got-
Google everything.
Exactly.
Google won't fix it.
And that's how you have to you train people how to treat you. So if you feel like you're in a situation where you're being bullied, you do have a choice. You have an option. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to beat them up. You don't have to punch them in the eye to make them stop talking to you. But you can have conversations, especially as adults. You may have to have a couple conversations. Listen, the last time you stepped on my toe, you know, I let you know about it, and you continue to do that. That's a problem. What do we need to do to stop that?
Exactly.
So it may take some time. It's not going to be an instant gratification. But again, that's the problem with today.
Yeah,
We
they
talk
so
about
right now.
we
instant.
talk about intervention though in days past when I was a tyke. I've been there long though.
Yeah, he said tyke.
He used the
There
word
were parent-teacher conferences,
type.
and then there was an issue between children. The parents spoke to one
Right.
another, and they resolved the issue,
Right.
whether it be verbally or another level. But it was resolved.
Right. Right.
These days, people are packing pistols and shotguns and other things.
Wait,
And here's the reason why. That's what they know.
do you know
Yes.
that the schools have stopped parents from face-to-face meetings?
Yes.
That is sick. When parents have gotten so out of control
We talking about
that you
the
cannot sit
PTA.
face to
What's
face.
going
There
on
is no
with the
there is
PTA?
no PTA.
Yes.
What's
Yeah.
going on with the PTA?
No.
Right? And we talking about mediation and stuff. So
Man.
these meetings don't occur anymore on the level we're speaking to.
Right. Right.
So now the child comes home in a place of desolation, dysfunction. The parents are not there because they have to go out and earn. So they're latchkey children, you know how I know. And so those things apply to the fact now I may even have a bully or bullies on the block, on the way to school, at school. Now I got to navigate from school back here. I'm lumped up when I get home. My parents say, "What happened to you? Won't you fight back?"
That's just too much to go through.
It's just
for
too
a
much to
kid.
go
Yeah.
through. And
Yeah.
now we talk about the suicide issue.
Mm.
Because if a child finds that they have no sense of worth and it's hopeless, they're going to commit suicide. It's
And
happening.
and the sad part is what they don't have. And God rest my mother's soul, but when I tell you, I knew for certain I could go home and tell my mama. I could go home and tell my
And she
mama
would yield
about
results.
what, and it was going to be all right.
Absolutely.
When these
It's gonna be
children
happening.
cannot come home and talk to their parents, they did a story not too long ago, I want to say in this past year, about the younger people committing suicide. These kids, this little boy hung himself from the railing at home, the banister inside the house. Several children, it was just becoming an epidemic. And these children, we're talking about 8, 9, 10 years old up into teenagers because
And
they
kids should
don't.
not have
You just
this
shouldn't.
problem.
It shouldn't even be a
It's
thought
not
that you
that
have to
serious.
kill
This
yourself.
shouldn't even be a discussion.
At that age, it's not that
How do you even know
It
at
shouldn't
that
be.
age that death is something
Oh.
You
that's
know,
an
way out.
you
option?
should, you
Right.
shouldn't
I did
even
not
have
know
that
that.
necessarily
whole
that
concept.
concept.
It's
I didn't know
horrible.
You
nothing
heard
about no
about it.
sex at no
Exactly.
10.
You heard
Yeah.
about it.
I didn't know nothing about no sex
It's-
at
But
no
it's
10.
just a
I
sad
didn't-
state of affairs when you
I
feel.
played with Barbie dolls.
At 8
till I
or
was
9,
13.
I knew about cartoons and my bicycle.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I
Right.
didn't know anything about death or you know, some kids
Just
are being
heard of
bullied.
it.
Some kids are being bullied, and I know it's the big thing,
Right.
because of their sexuality, because
And
they're
that's a
coming
big
out as gay, and I know, you know, black community, we all over the place with that, and
Right.
you
It's
know,
ridiculous.
you know, depending on whatever you think about it, I'm not judging
Because
anybody
where's the love, bottom line?
about anything. Exactly.
Because they shouldn't have to feel like they have to die to get rid
Right.
of the problem. That's the only way to
Exactly.
solve this issue is me being alleviated from the situation, me being subtracted, because I can't talk to my parents. They don't understand, or they're part of my problem because they
Right.
don't support my lifestyle, or they don't accept me for who I am, or I can't
Ooh,
talk to
that's
them
a
about the
hard
bullying
one, thank
because my
God.
parents may go and fight at school, or they may
Right.
tell me toughen up. It's just too much. It's just too. It is a sad state of affairs. Save these children.
But from
Exactly.
a spiritual standpoint, it's the church's issue. And I'm going to tell you why it's the church's issue. The original tabernacle in Scripture, which became the temple at some point, the temple was an all-purpose place. Bank, store, clothing outlet, prayer center, all of those things, which the church is today. Many churches are not equipped to handle these issues. They don't have someone to counsel. The pastor can't do it all. The bishop can't do it all. The people who oversee those there, they can't do it all. They have to have people independently who are skilled, licensed, and certified
Say
to do
that.
those things.
Skilled.
And the church also needs to have people, in particular, for peer support, to have mentors who handle bullying issues. Say that 10 times.
Yes.
Bullying issues, because children are dying by the droves. Check it when we leave the show. You'll see who died today.
Yeah.
Someone died because they were bullied. They were threatened. They were afraid, and they couldn't communicate that effectively to someone in the church, someone in the family, someone they could trust. And when they go outside of that, they fail and they die. The church should be held responsible for intervening in matters such as this, because it is indeed a spiritual matter. Our children are dying because there's no one present for them.
I agree. You can't go to Bishop Bullwinkle Church and try to get the Don't go to Bishop Bullwinkle, okay?
Well, you know, there was a recent video of a teacher bullying a student. He told her, you the dumbest person in this class. You the dumbest person. She asked a question,
Wow.
which is what we are taught and what we tell our children to do. When you have a question, you ask.
Yeah.
And and thank God somebody was recording it,
Thank God.
and he no longer has a job.
Sure, good.
But
Oh,
they're
good.
going
Yeah.
they're going
Good.
home, they're going to school to that. So if parents and people in these children's lives are not making it a safe place for them to be, we're going to continue to lose them.
Amen.
So we have to get our villages back on point. Get people you trust, get people in the church, get people who helped raise you.
That's right.
And
Takes a
help
village
these
to raise a
children.
child.
And offer your services to other people.
Do you remember getting in trouble in school,
Yeah. Say it.
getting beat on the way home by the neighbor,
By
and
the
you had
neighbors.
one waiting on when you got
Yes.
home?
Yes.
Man, that,
Yes.
You got 3 from the school to your house.
Right.
You got 3 because such and such word and travel.
Rap.
Oh my
And the
God,
lady
don't
down the
let
street,
somebody,
Miss So and
your
So,
mama
she done already
know,
beat you.
And
be
they
a
called your
nudge
mama.
aid or something. You got an extra whooping if somebody knew your mama and they worked in the school.
I remember
Yeah.
when you used to get
I'm about to
paddled in
call
school
your
too.
mama.
Oh, yeah,
I remember that paddling.
When
I
they
got
took
one in
discipline
high
out of school, the Pledge of Allegiance, and prayer,
Yeah.
these things
That goes
happen.
back to what you said earlier. What people are not paying attention to, what we're doing societally, what we're inducing into society, and all of the important things that are being taken out.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna take a break. I tell you, I have had the absolute most fun with these 2 guests today.
This is cranberry juice, actually. Just so you know.
Nothing else is in my cup.
Nothing else is allowed in our cups today.
I don't have anything, and somebody need to put something in my cup. because
I'll get you a cup.
Well, we
Cranberry
will
juice.
be back in just a few moments. Thank you for watching. Tony, was it break or close? Are we supposed to be done?
No.
One more?
Who's doing the rant?
Do a rant?
Everybody
I will.
had a segment.
But
I do a rant.
huh? Everybody has
segment. Remember?
but it was only one at a
And we
time.
didn't schedule
this was
when,
your
right.
segment, so there was nothing else scheduled with your
Okay.
segment.
So,
No, she's not saying her segment. She's saying
T,
somebody
what we got?
else's.
No, but I'm saying we're only doing one per show.
Okay, one per day.
Oh,
This
that was
is
the
another
last
show.
So whose was
Yeah.
it?
What
We
mine?
wrote
I
it
did
down.
mine.
I
I
don't
have
know
to
what
look
you
at
got
my
notes.
calendar. Hold on.
I can do a rant. I can go.
Wasn't supposed to be a rant, supposed to be a
Rant on,
segment.
homie.
And we'll do your rant for a few minutes, and then I'll pan back out to the rest of it, and we can close it out.
Okay.
What you ranting about?
Let me get this set up.
Wait till
don't
you
know
see.
yet.
I do know.
You so dumb.
I'm so sleepy is what I am.
Me too. I wish I could appear at home.
best man? He don't whisper good. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds like hot breath from here.
Ladies, I've enjoyed this a lot.
Ooh, Kim.
Look, Kim.
No, okay, hold on, because I just put an amazing amount of lip gloss on.
Yeah, no camp. You're right in the middle. That's good job. Yep.
Don't do
Just
that
did.
face again.
You good. That's it.
I had so much you got on my tongue.
Your name is so important. Guess what? Your name has to be available in the county or the state that you plan on following.
Everybody's like
And the name it cannot be similar to another name. Okay? Are you following me? So if I start a stock company, right? And the name of my company is Stock Maker USA.
You said when I'm
And
ready.
Wayne has a company out there called
You
Stock
gonna give
Maker.
me thumbs up? Okay, I'm waiting on you.
Can't have a name
I'm ready.
because it's too similar to another name. So the name needs.
Well, we are back, and we want to thank you again for having joined us. I get to have the set all to myself, just me and you for a minute. And what I want to talk about is, I mentioned earlier that we went last week to see Les Brown. So I want to talk about growth. We've talked about bullying. We've talked about prayer not being in the households. We've talked about parenting. I want to just talk about you. I want to talk about growth. I think that if we move forward in the spirit of growth, it can only help us, our children, our households. Is going to ripple out into our churches, our communities, into our political arena. You see the foolery that's happening right now. It's a complete spectacle. And I almost feel, I won't say I almost feel, I do feel embarrassed on some level of what other countries and other places and other people see happening in my country, in my state, in my neighborhood, in our homes. So we went to see Les Brown. We saw a bunch of other speakers. There was a guy, James Smith. I'd never heard of him. You should probably Google him. This guy was amazing. But just to be in a room full of people where there is such positive energy in the spirit of growth is amazing. What I really appreciate, since we talked about bullying today, one of my favorite parts of being in that environment, several of them said, we're doing workshops where you can bring your children. I thought that was a really cool concept. These are things that typically adults go to. We're trying to grow in business and education, you know, move to the next level in our companies. But what about teaching our children while they're able to have Xboxes and Jordans and tablets and laptops and all this other freedom? Why not put them, you're not taking them to church in most cases. There are a lot of church goers, there are a lot of households with some spirituality, but there are so many more people outside of the churches that are just really, really lost. So why not take them to a seminar where they can learn how to build a business, how to make some money, how to support their community, they can have their own church. There are a million different options for them. There are a million different options for us. So I just want to employ you to pay it forward to your children and go ahead and figure out how to move in the spirit of positivity and growth. I think everybody here, I constantly surround myself with people who want to grow. That is why I'm a part of Sisters Unedited. That is why these gentlemen are on our panel. We don't reach down, we reach up. And when we reach down, we're reaching down to pull someone up. So I enjoyed you guys, and I am so glad to have been in your company today.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor.
So you gotta come back. You have got to come back.
Yerp.
You have got, that's a yes. Well, awesome. Girls, did you have fun?
Had a great time. I had a great
good
time.
I missed last week even more now that we sat in with them today because we missed them last week. So, but I'm glad you guys got a chance to tune in. Make sure you give us some feedback. Check us out on Facebook. Follow us. We're here every week at 7 o'clock, KRWC.TV, KRWC Media. You can find Sisters Unedited and our Brothers Unedited. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming.